These sort of problems are my favorite type of problems. What's going on, guys? Bijan here. So we have a bit of a predicament. So if you didn't see my last video, go ahead, check above or below. I talked about how I got my Evo, how I found it at Copart, bought it sight unseen. It came with a lot of very nice goodies that I was very excited about. But at that point, at the time of recording, I had a bit of a decision to make because I thought, per what my engine builder said and my tuner said, that turbo is not rebuildable. So he recommended going with a FP0. So I was very much considering going down that route. I thought, you know what, I'm gonna drop the $3,000. I'll buy the FP0, drop it in, call it a day. The rest of the car is ready to go. But he contacted me and he said, hey, you know what? I thought of something. And he's like, well, instead of dropping the $3,000, why don't you pay $1,500 until you use that turbo? And I was like, well, I thought that you told me that the turbo was not rebuildable. He said, no, well, finding the parts to rebuild that turbo will be nearly impossible. It's an older version, 6266. But he has someone who has the ability to machine me the parts needed to rebuild that turbo. So essentially my decision then got left to, do I want to pay $3,000, get a brand new FP0 that may spool a little bit quicker? He told me the difference will be nominal, but it would be a couple hundred RPM. It'll hold the boost a tad bit longer, again, a couple hundred RPM, but you're paying twice as much money. So rebuilding that 6266 with this guy that can actually do it would be about $1,500, can throw it back into the car, and I can keep the setup that I currently have. Versus getting the FP0, I would then need to also get a wastegate because the wastegate I have currently doesn't work on that FP0 setup. So then that kind of left me thinking like, well, do I want to drop the extra money, get nominal gains, or do I want to stick with the turbo, stick with the external wastegate that dumps out the hood like I had it? So I thought, you know what? Let's do the external wastegate, let's dump it out the hood, let's stay with the setup that I had it, let's build that 6266 and drop it into the car. So now we're playing the waiting game because the car is ready to go, turbo just needs to be built and then dropped in. We need a tune and a break in, and then that car is ready to go. I cannot wait. 2 years in the making. 2 years in the making since I bought the car, got it shipped, brought it to my house, started to break it down and see what it really was, until today, which the motor is good, it's been rebuilt, head's been rebuilt and machined, new cams, new oil pan, clutch is new, everything is good to go. We're just waiting on that turbo. Now you guys let me know in the comments below, what would you guys have done? Would you have paid the extra money, paid the $3,000, gotten the FP0, or stuck with the turbo that came in the car and rebuild what you already had? Most of this car was already becoming kind of a money build. I told my engine builder like, hey, you have full autonomy, buy what you need to buy, build what you need to build, but just do it as best as you can. I want the block to be able to handle 1,000 horsepower, head, everything to be good to go for 1,000 horsepower. But I want my turbo to spool quick enough so I can actually still daily it sometimes and have fun with it without it being so laggy it's ridiculous. I think in the current setup, conservatively, I'll be making in the low 600s on close to 40 pounds of boost on everything that I have. I can always upgrade the turbo later on and go with a 6466 or an FP0 if I do get bored at this 600 horsepower power level, which even though I'm saying it now like, oh, that's ridiculous, I won't get bored of that. I guess we'll check in a couple months and kind of see how that goes. So now as far as the timeline, my engine builder told me it will take a couple weeks. It does take some time to do these things. Things don't get done overnight. There's a lot of other people also building their cars, building their turbos, taking advantage of the fact that they're at home and they're working from home and they're making money and they want their cars to be extra nice. So I'm hoping within the next 2 weeks I'll have another update where I can see the car and post the car running, getting tuned, and then we're just gonna break it in and the car is good to go. We can do some pulls on it. I cannot wait to hear that external wastegate goes straight out the hood. It's gonna be absolutely wild. The cool thing is once the car is done, it's basically where I want it. Engine is how I want it set up. The head is good, clutch is good. It's the correct clutch, the Exetti triple plate that I wanted. It has a 5-speed conversion because, you know, 6 speeds aren't as powerful as the 5 speeds. And it is an MR, so it came with the 6-speed. Suspension is what I wanted. I like the BCs. I think the only thing I really want to do next is get some NTO3s, probably powder coat them like some gloss black to match the exterior of the car, because the car is vinyl wrapped satin whites and then all the accents are blacked out, so it looks very, very nice. So go ahead, comment below, let me know what turbo you guys would have chosen. Would you have gone the extra money but a little bit more nominal gains, or would you have saved the extra money and kind of put that towards something else that you may like more? And do you guys agree with my NTO3 setup? I know a lot of people run TE37s. Would you have run like CE28s, TE37s, or maybe the NTO3s? For me, I've always loved CE28s and NTO3s, so I really wanted to get the NTO3s first, see them on the car. I really like it when people do the 27, I think it's 27 millimeter offset in the rear, and then 27 in the front with that 10 mil spacer. It looks very, very nice and flush with a little bit of camber in the front. But with all that being said, I'll see you guys on the next one. Have a good one.